You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but we've been told for years to vote the bad guys out and to vote for the good guys. After voting intelligently for years, I still can't figure out who the good guys are. Nothing has changed. I'm still poor and I still get harassed. Nothing has changed. You ever realize whenever you talk to a government agency on the phone and they place you on hold, and you ever notice they always say, well, they're assisting other customers. Other customers, you're just a product to them. Why the hell you think you're called a human resource? And so, part of the reason this gasoline is so high is the damn government. Nobody wants to hear this, but see, most of the wealth in this country is held by municipal corporations. That's who holds just about all the wealth. For example, just about all of the oil companies, a big portion of their shareholders are pension boards from states and police departments. Oh, now that's a conflict of interest, isn't it? You see, on one hand, the government, they complain about the gas stations and their government subsidies, but on the other hand, most of their stock from their pension board is owned by the damn government agencies. Just in Michigan alone, a few years ago, their pension board had about $20 billion tied up in gas station shares. Uh-oh. Just about every state does that. Here it is, you got these government agencies complaining about how broke they are, but they got billions sitting in slush funds overseas. They all have accounts with the Federal Reserves. They got enterprise funds making money by other means, and you honestly expect that you gotta go to these people and solve your problems. They're only out for that paper. And so the reason why they're able to do these things, they do jujitsu as it relates to the law. They know how to wiggle their way through different aspects of it. And so with that being said, the solution for every problem, and so I don't like to just rant about problems, I like to give everybody a solution. I started my journey about 10 years ago. I started listening to Coast AM, and I would listen at these sort of fringe topics, aliens, UFOs, the Illuminati. At one point I thought the world was controlled by green lizards or Zeta Reticulans. And after I listened to Coast, I found Roger Elvick's stuff with the Patriot movement, and found out a lot of the stuff they were using didn't work in court. Not because the judges were fraudulent or because they didn't know what they were doing, And then I happened to work in a building, a municipal building, where it had attorneys and judges, and a lot of those guys saw that I was struggling, and somehow they were moved. I got lots of law books given to me. I had a judge and a few prosecutors sit down and have lunch with me, and they explained a lot of things to me. Some things I wouldn't dare repeat, because I want you to find out some things on your own by reading and hopefully not by experience. And so as I began to figure out in the box methods that they were using, I began to utilize it. going down to a law library, looking up court cases, shepherdizing cases, learning how to read a CAFR report, learning how to use the rules of evidence so you will know what pieces of evidence you are providing and what piece of evidence they can't use against you. It's all relative. Learning civil procedure, you know, learning how to write memorandums of law and the pleading. That's where your remedy is law. A lot of us don't like to get involved with it. It is a lot of reading. It's a lot of writing. I'm not no attorney. And quiet as kept, 90% of your attorneys out there practicing are incompetent. You had a Supreme Court justice, I believe his name was William Berger, said, you know, a lot of attorneys can graduate from law school without ever writing a pleading. You know, the sad part about it, if you ever go into court as a defendant, even with a high-priced lawyer, you got a 94% chance of losing, whereas if you go into the court as a trained pro se litigant, you got about a 32% chance of winning. And those statistics come from the Department of Justice. And so the solution is you have to learn law. The Constitution is okay, but you got to learn how to look in the words and phrases section. Sometimes you can win a case just because the statute was written incorrectly, or somebody may use the wrong cause of action, or you may have to just impeach a witness, get the evidence stricken from the record, no cause of action. So definitely learn law, a little bit about civil procedure, but more importantly, every problem that we deal with is relative. You know, I used to think that white people were the problem. That's not so. I used to think the Illuminati was the problem. They have a little part of the blame. I used to think the Democrats and Republicans were the problem, but they are part of the problem. I used to think the feminists were the problem because the women turned their backs on men. That's a little bit, but that's not the problem. I used to think the problem was because black people don't stick together, but that's not the problem. And I got to thinking one day, I know why everything is wrong. I pointed the finger at myself and I said, you know what, damn it. I got to dip my hand in the blame jar and eat my fair share. Because every problem that you are involved with, there is some sort of legal solution. Whether it's flying in airplanes, if you don't want to be searched, you shouldn't fly. And so I got to thinking, if we can't use law as our remedy, we've got another option. You ever notice when a country, somehow when they wage war on another country, they stop doing business and commerce with them? I'm not anti-government. I'm not saying we should be at war with our government. I want that to be known now. What if everybody took one day, they didn't go to work, they didn't spend any money, they didn't do a damn thing, they didn't pay any taxes, they didn't do nothing. Nothing gets done, and that top 5%, they can't eat off of you. If everybody went 1 week, they stayed in the house, they didn't buy anything, then those people that appointed themselves as your public fiduciaries, they listen. So you do have a solution, whether it be law or sitting in the house and don't spend any money. See, that affects the global economy. The reason why they don't listen to you is because you're not going to do anything. Biggest power you got, don't spend your money. Don't buy any gas. Don't pay your auto insurance bill this month. Don't go to work. Don't spend your money. You know, some people say, well, what are you going to do? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not do nothing. You have a good day, people. Stay classy.